Hey everybody, welcome to the Commando cast. I am Mike.
And I'm Andrew. Thanks for joining us again. Today, Mike and I are talking everything broken in Star Wars Destiny. Hello everyone, welcome to episode 34. That's right, 34 of the Commando cast. I'm here with my buddy Mike, and this was his idea of an episode, so I'm going to let him take it away.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of talk over the last few weeks as we've had the continued amount of spoilers and the release of Spark of Hope about what combos are broken. I'm speaking about R2-D2, C-3PO, like what's been busted. Snoke's been busted.
And I'll throw the familiar image up just to remind people about the whole do to disrupt Mike flip the table combo.
right. So I want us to take a few deep breaths. And yes, thank you. And remember that this game being broken as shit is not a new thing. It has been broken for a long time, and we've had a good time the whole time. So I'd like to take a little retrospective, a cruise down memory lane.
So we'll go ahead in the time machine, if you will.
We're going to talk about broken cards, not just now, but throughout the history of our game. Some of you are fairly new to the game. Maybe you've joined us in the last year, even the last 2 years, and you missed the real degenerate stuff, like from the beginning. So sit back, buckle up, enjoy yourself. We're going to talk about the good old days.
All right. So what we've actually done is each one of us has come up with our top 5 cards. We made a top 5 list because, and I quote, people like lists.
Yeah,
right?
That's true. So, I can hear the clicks right now. Yes.
So what we're going to do is we're going to start with Mike's list. So Mike, take us away.
Okay.
Number 5.
All right. My number 5 list, and this one is very close to my heart because this is my first Star Championship deck, and that is my shorty doo-wop, Maz Kanata. Broken. And it's funny, by herself, she wasn't necessarily...
Right, so remind everybody, for especially the old people,
yeah,
the new people, the old people know what's going on, but the new guys...
Maz had this very special ability that after she activated, she got to resolve up to 2 of your dice after she activated.
Of your dice, not her dice.
Yeah, not her dice, anybody's dice. So the old fun trick was you ran her with Poe 1, the really awesome Poe, and then you'd roll his dice in, your opponent wouldn't remove them, and then you'd activate Maz. She had 2 focus sides, so she'd flip 1 or more of his dice, and then activate and do one of them. Like you would, and then you'd toss a,
Cunning was still a card at the time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. There were so many ways to abuse this. Like you could get. Like, if you rolled a special on Poe and she rolled in with the Cunning special, you could actually just hit him twice.
Yep.
So you hit him with a Falcon and then also with a Y-Wing, or not Y-Wing,
the V-Wing.
The V, yeah. So it was so good. Like, I love this card, but man, was it broken. It enabled so much broken crap.
Just because of the resolving dice with nothing to do about it, right?
It was our first taste of being able to do nothing about a dice. So we learned more about how this tasted later on.
Interestingly enough, Maz was never eroded or fixed.
Correct.
And in fact, she even became a combo with Obi-Wan 2 later on.
And I think
Poe was the one who took the hit. So.
I think what you'll find is some of these cards, I haven't even seen Andrew's list, but a lot of the cards, at least on my list, you could tell they were broken because they nerfed one part of them and they still stuck around to be degenerate elsewhere.
Right.
So that's Maz Kanata.
That's a very good point.
I love you, Maz. I miss you.
Before we go on to number 4, I just want to throw out there, we are actually having thunderstorms running through the area again. So again, if it sounds like Armageddon, Mike and I are okay.
Yeah, we're fine.
Maybe.
Yeah, they don't have tornadoes here. So.
I mean, if the video's posted, we made it. So. All right, number 4.
I need a drink for this one. Okay, so once upon a time, there was a terror that haunted all Destiny players, and that was if you were playing against Red Hero and you had the gall to run a single gun in your deck, that you would get punished, and you got punished by a card called It's a Trap. So it had the hero of the rebellion, Admiral Akbar on it. The card was turn all of your... It was 0 or 1 cost.
Ambush.
turn all of your red dice to sides matching a damage side showing on your opponent's die. And of course, Red Hero back then is still, to this day, is like all guns, right? Except for a few cards. But you get to turn them all and then destroy your... So this was a way early on in the game for you to just erase a character out of nowhere. There was nothing your opponent could do about it because they just activated and rolled in. They couldn't control what was on their die. And then you just murder them for it.
So it was eroded. This one was eroded eventually to be only 2 of your dice, at which point it died on the table. Right.
It kind of got a little... And ambush got removed off of it too, right? Didn't it have ambush got removed?
Oh, that may actually be the case.
It got a raw deal. It didn't need that much. They could have either could have...
Oh, that was right. It did. Because I remember being upset at the time. I was like, why was it both?
One or the other would have made the card playable, and it probably still would have seen play until it rotated out. But they basically... This is one of those ones where they overdid it. This is one of our very first erratas, if I remember right.
Yeah. I think this came with Hyperspace Jump at the same time. Right?
Yeah. So this card was broken. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. All right. Number 3. Everybody's favorite.
Sabine Wren. Empire at War. She's a legendary. Now, most of you probably are aware of this who've been around at least even a little while because this card was relevant just...
Because people were still talking about even if she got rotated out.
8 months ago, this card was still really good. So, I think Sabine was broken because of the way it was designed and the wording they put on the card. It was obvious what the designers were going for, which was you were supposed to play her with the thermal keyword. Right, like that was.
I mean, I there's no way it didn't go through playtest. So I agree, but there's no way it didn't go through playtesting with the ambush guns. Yeah. And they must have just decided it wasn't that big a deal because you still had to roll, which was a fair argument. Right. But just the amount of rage that this card, like,
it was one of those things. It came out. There was nothing you could do about it because she would have guns in her discard pile. She would get to override them for free, play them out, roll out, kill you. And then escape with various other cards, or she had tools later on that she could use to keep you from doing certain things, like playing a card, like with running interference. That was so Sabine to me was one of the it was a feel bad card, and it was also quite broken.
Right. So because just to clarify, the combo with Sabine is because she activates and then you can play the card. If you're playing an ambush from your discard pile, she rolls in with ambush, so she can then resolve, or as Mike pointed out, use another card, which we'll talk about later. It's actually on my list.
It's one of our it's casino mode, and it's like if you rolled hot, you just murder people.
Right.
Any card that you can run.
But there was more to it than that. I mean, Bobby Sapphire took it to top 4 in Worlds, and like you don't get to top 4 in Worlds just by rolling.
Correct. Absolutely, no, absolutely not. But I mean, it was. I think any character you can run that only has, what does she have, 10 or 11 health? 11 health. Yeah. You can run this card solo and win tournaments.
Mike Rudin.
Yeah, Mike.
R.I.P.
Yeah. Sorry, miss you, Mike. Come back.
We'll buy your DVD, though, or your CD, though. Yeah. All right, moving on. So I do want to point out, Sabine Wren's actually on my list as well in a different position.
Okay.
But, so we don't really need to talk about that twice. All right, next. This card, of course. Yes, of course it's on your list.
Yes. So I affectionately call this card the Alex Special. So Close Quarters Assault. Close Quarters Assault is disgusting and broken because it is a win more card. So you roll out your damage, right? I obviously can't do jack about it, otherwise I would have, right? And then you get to play a card for free that destroys any options I had for the rest of the round, card play wise. So Close Quarters Assault, 0 cost, discard cards equal to the number of melee sides on your dice that you have showing, and it was a gray neutral card, so it was in every single melee deck.
I don't necessarily think this card's broken.
You were wrong.
I'm not really going to fight you on it because you're correct. It's that it's a win more. I have a couple comments on it. One, it was basically now stick with me. It was basically the blue hero Friends in Low Places, except that it dropped your hand. it was the blue hero. I'm going to make sure you don't have removal by bending you over the table.
I will say that as broken as this card was during its heyday, I wish it was around now because it would put a stop to all this stupid, I'm going to spend 10 minutes rolling dice and not doing anything so I can play 2 big supports and kill you. Because while you're resolving money sides, your opponent is rolling sticks and discarding all the cards out of your hand. Like this card.
I actually CQA will never be reprinted. It won't. Right. It's very interesting though, right? Because so I only bought in the original days. I only bought one of each starter, And I actually went on Miniature Market at the time, and I bought, for 20 cents a piece, I bought CQAs. Because in Early Awakenings, it wasn't good.
Right.
And I read that card, and I was like, man, that seems really good. So I threw it in my Qui-Gon Ray deck, and I was like, haha, and it just never worked. It just never worked in Awakenings.
Right.
But once we got to like the Empire at War, like you had enough sticks out there, it actually, especially the stairs meta, that was when you started hating it. Was when you'd be like, oh, I'm gonna beat Amy, and Amy'd be like,
yeah. I remember it being in Seventh Sister and
Boba 7 was why you really hated it.
Yeah, that was the real bad feel bad. So
all right, moving on.
This one might be personal for me.
That's what I'm saying. I think this is a personal
broken,
grudge,
but anyway. And my number one most broken card the game has ever seen, and this one you may not agree with me or not, but Friends in High Places is the most disgusting win more card that has ever been printed. A card that allows
it was not win more Invader. It was win condition Invader.
Okay.
So I agree. So to be clear, I agree with you wholeheartedly. This card is stupid.
Yes. So maybe you didn't see it. Friends in Low Places. I can play it only.
Friends in High Places.
Friends in High Places, 0 cost, but I only may play it if the value showing on my dice are 7 or higher combined. So I already have 7 showing on my dice. I play this card. I get to play any card from my hand for free. Any card.
So just to put this card in historical perspective, it was released in Spirit of Rebellion, so the set 2, and it didn't really see play until set 6. When Vader came out, right? Because the reality was, just with the way the game used to work, just to put it, so before we all scream how stupid people are, right? When the first, so we also know that Spirit of Rebellion was likely designed before the game even hit the market, right?
I heard the first 2 were designed maybe even together.
That's my theory, because if you actually look at the art and the theme on it, they're all Rogue One based from like an art standpoint. The Rogue One and Awakenings based from an art standpoint. So I think they were designed actually as a 300 card set, and someone's like, no.
Right.
Anyway.
All right.
But this card really did not. So like Derek Jagger used to try to play this in his like 4-wide vehicle deck, and it just never worked early, right? And it wasn't until we had Vader that was 4 sets later, and clearly the playtesters were like, that card stinks. Why would I ever playtest anything with that ever, right? So it just snuck through playtesting 4 sets later, and all of a sudden we have Vader Fist on turn 1, and.
And yeah, so the win is really became disgusting, and luckily it rotated out immediately since it got good. But Vader rolls very easily 7 across 3 dice
between Greedo and 2 Vaders. Yeah, it's pretty easy to get 7.
You were easily getting out these big. It was our
costs
0. Yeah, it was our big taste of the big. It was our first real taste of the big vehicles. That's not true. It was an early taste of the giant vehicle meta in giant support.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't reliable in that you have. So the way it works is you discard the top 3 or pull the top 3 cards. Yeah. Look at one of them, but still, you were either pulling a Vader Saber or a Fist or something gross, or even worse. Not even worse, I suppose, but you could also Friends and Hide to do it again, right? So,
it did feel. I remember laughing at several opponents who would do this into nothing. Like that always felt really good.
Yeah, well, right? I mean, there's a risk there, which is probably why it also was considered to be fine. But. Yeah.
So that is my most broken card, mostly because of the value versus what you get. Like the value is through the roof on it, especially if you build your deck, and that's what happened. Is people started building their deck to take advantage of it. So there you go.
Yep. 5 cards. So just again, number 5, Maz. Number 4, it's a trap. 3, that was a horrible Akbar.
Yeah, like maybe number you can dub that over.
Yeah, Sabine. I'll just throw the real video over. Right. Sabine Wren, CQA, and then Friends in High Places. Mm-hmm. All right, so I want to drop some quote knowledge on you.
All right, hit me.
This is me right now. Broken in and of itself isn't a problem in Destiny. It's repeatable brokenness that is the issue. I stand by that in Destiny, right? So
did you just quote yourself?
I did. It's correct.
God damn.
No, I just laid a quote. I laid some knowledge. Okay. All right. So my list, number 5, and this one is personal for me. No Allegiance. This card is not broken in Standard. This is the dumbest card to ever be printed from a draft standpoint. This card broke. This card broke draft in set 6.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
And I mean, I don't even think they were like. I don't think draft is play tested. Like, I'm pretty sure it's not, right? But like, this card broke draft.
It just made draft not even fun anymore.
No, it was like we never drafted again after that first weekend because we're just like, that's stupid.
You know what would be really stupid is if we went back and drafted, like, with the old set, like, with this card. Like, why would you ever do that? Like, draft again with this card in rotation and, like, it's...
No, there's... Yeah.
This was across the... I'm trying... Was this an across
It was set 6.
Oh, yeah.
Because it came out with Han and...
Oh, yeah. So don't ever draft with that. It's...
Yeah, I mean, it's a bad set to draft anyway with mods and vehicles anyway, but...
Totally.
Whatever. So that's I mean, not much else to say.
It's funny when you post that. I'm like, huh? And I'm like, oh, right. It ruined
because
draft.
just a reminder that this was with the original Rivals draft kit. Right. So your guys added up to 31. Yeah. So you would pull this and be like,
it was an auto draft.
I don't need characters anymore. Right. I'm just going to pull dice card. Didn't even matter if it was the first card you opened. You would just take it. You now have your preset draft characters all at +1, and you're just pulling dice cards.
Right, the next 5, and they're rainbow, right? Yeah. So the next 5 packs, take
this card. I'm still waiting for the formal apology from Edwards. Like, they broke draft on that week. So anyway, my number 4, Mike already alluded to it earlier, is running interference. So this card received a pretty quick errata to where it had to be discarded for use because it was repeatable, and that kind of fits into my.
It didn't have to be discarded to begin with?
No, the printing for it is that it's repeatable. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. That's awful.
Because it happened very quickly because people were like, I roll in Sabine and I miss, or I don't even miss and I just do it. Because that was what you would do. You'd roll in Sabine and then you would never tell me the odds to flip all of your dice to damage and then
pick
be like...
card. Yeah, you can't play a card.
Can't play a card.
Right. And so you just ate it.
This card, and they fixed it kind of, but like
it's still. This is one of those ones where they tried to put it down, and it was still degenerate even after they errata.
Well, the point is, like, if they get errata and people are still playing it, probably
super busted.
Needed to think about it. Yeah. So I will throw out the exception for Hyperspace Jump on that one, but I think Hyperspace Jump is fine now that it's removed, right? But and Hyperspace Jump did not make my list, but it was dang close. All right, so my number 3 is Friends in High Places. We talked for way too long about that, so I'm not going to go on that. My number 2 is Sabine. Again, I just... Boo. My real problem with Sabine is I honestly feel that Sabine broke the game because I think that instead of being mature and owning that they screwed up on Sabine, what they did was they sat back and were like, it wasn't my fault. Sabine was great. It was all those damn ambush weapons. Which is why upgrades stink now.
Right.
I honestly believe
that. 100%. That's why we haven't seen good
ambush weapons. Right. We see the Donderbust, which is like an inventive way to get the character out. But like, it's okay to have action cheating. Like, it's okay.
Right.
And because of Sabine, I honestly believe the developers are just like, no, never doing that again. Yeah.
And I miss my holdout blaster, man. That's
hashtag reprint holdout blaster.
Yeah, no doubt, dude.
Like, if there was ever a fair and good and baseline upgrade, it's holdout blaster, and it needs to come back to reset this game out of the freaking support hell that we're in, right?
Support hell.
So, all right, moving on to my number 1.
Oh,
force speed.
Oh man,
so
that's spicy.
There are 2 things wrong with force speed. 0 cost die, awful. Repeatable action cheating, awful. I love action cheating. I love the concept of action cheating. It has an absolute place in this game, right? The Iden deck where you can, or the Kess deck, right? Blowout gets it. Like, it's great. It's great for the game. Repeatable action cheating that you can do every single turn for no cost, just 1 card from your hand, is stupid.
Yeah.
Do I need to say more? I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I had problems with this card. First off, the art has been one of my favorites since they printed it. I love it. But the real problem I think was
right before my favorite guide deck.
It was a legendary card that cost 0 that was neutral.
Oh, it did not cost 0.
Right, yeah, no, absolutely not. I really hated it. I part of me felt like this may have been like one of those cash grab cards. Like, we're gonna print this ridiculously powerful neutral card that goes in every blue deck ever printed. And
we have seen Fantasy Flight do a pattern of that, so I'll give you that.
I mean, and I'm not saying that you can make money. If you guys know me, I'm a capitalist. I like money, but this one felt a little bit dirty. Like, this was like, you have to have this card, and people did. I bought one of these for $55 one time. Like, and I'm sure people bought them for more than that.
So I actually survived. I actually still only have one. I never bought a second one.
Oh, okay.
I only had.
I got one,
ever.
and then I had to buy a second one.
It just wasn't worth it to me, like because I didn't like it to begin with.
Yeah. Well, I really like it for when Yoda came out. It was like an auto.
No, yeah, I'm not saying. I'm just saying I don't own
right,
one.
yeah,
so,
no.
And it's because I opened it up.
I'm so glad this is on your list. I honestly kind of forgot about like this card, but it was. Have they printed a zero cost die card since then? Have they?
No, not so. It was Holocron in the first set, and then Force Speed. I do. Oh, Chance Cube was Empire War.
Yeah, Chance Cubes had a cost though to roll it in, which you could say it inherently has a cost.
That's fair. I do not. Is Unetti Force 3 0? Oh no, wait, that doesn't have a die. Nexus Power's 1, so no, I don't think they have. So anyway, zero cost die, not good. So actually, I want to go into the next part, which is Dice Commando's recipes for broken cards. So recipe number 1 is, like I've been ranting about, zero cost dice.
Yeah.
Right? So we ran into a problem early on, especially with Holocron and Force Speed. Right? Holocron in of itself didn't make my broken list because you had to draw it and you had to roll it. And like, I can't tell you how many games did Jagger wanted to pull out his hair because he couldn't get his Holocron. Right? So like, I was always fine with Holocron. In fact, I was never a fan of Holocron because I hated the inconsistency.
You had to have the card in hand to play it too. I mean, it wasn't like, I mean, there was some...
So you had to get Holocron and a Force ability and roll the special.
And it was removable.
Focus was not that big of a thing back then, right? So Holocron, maybe later on Holocron, but I mean, we never saw many decks that were like abusing Holocron, right? So Holocron is fine. It's just that zero cost die because it combined primarily with the zero removal, He Doesn't Like You, which was the fundamental card. And it was like, I believe that card alone, combined with Holocron and Force Speed and all this stuff, was primarily why Villain dominated early meta.
Yeah, and I think if you want to prove this point, your first point in your recipe, look at the infinite decks right now, the ones that are good. Yeti ran a Tarkin Snoke deck that was old school zero cost, right? So that was one of those ones where it is. We've already learned that. Our value, like we talk about that, like one resource equals, like a card equals a damage equals, a shield sort of like. So, yeah, these cards are bad. So I'm with you. Keep going. I preach,
We're
brother.
Gonna wait for the thunder.
Right.
All right. Next two is repeatable cheats, and by cheats I don't necessarily mean action cheating. I just mean cheats. For example, Sabine. I consider Sabine to be a cheat. Pulling if you can consist. So I have Force Speed here again, right? If you can consistently do something that is supposed to cost you something to do, I don't think that's good, especially when it costs you nothing, right? So Sabine pulling something from the discard pile for free. I mean, you have to pay for it, but the act of pulling something from the discard pile in all other facets of the game costs you a card from hand and probably $1.
She does something she's going to do anyway, which is activate.
That's what I'm saying.
A cost.
Right.
Okay.
And then Force Speed in of itself is a zero cost die. So for one from hand for the rest of the game, you potentially have an action cheat. It's just repeatable cheating, right?
Of whatever.
We usually associate the word cheating in this game with action cheating, and that's not what I'm necessarily saying.
Avoiding cost is also a form of cheating in this
right, game. And pulling something. So that's what I'm saying is being able to consistently, repeatably do something. And the reason I'm laying out these rules is because hopefully we can put it into context of things that we shouldn't do in the future.
So let me challenge you on this. Lore Senteca. Lore has a repeatable recursion. Yeah. Oh, do you think that he's broken because of that?
I don't know, because there is a cost to it, but it's really not that big of a cost. Like it's
a power action,
right?
It's an action.
But my point is them removing it. Well, so is Sabine's activation technically, right? I mean, yes, you can reset her. I get it, but
right. But I can do it every round.
Yeah, and it costs you that you have the card removed from the game, but doesn't really cost you, right? So I hear what you're saying, and. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. Do you think, though, in your opinion, based on this, do you feel that he is busted, or is the fact that your opponent gets to choose the card the mitigating factor?
That probably does help. I don't know that. I mean, the Lore 6-die Lore Sand deck stinks, but it's not the end all, right?
Could you imagine if you got to do that and then just pull one without choice? and remove 2 from the game.
Who knows what it originally was?
Yeah,
right?
like so interesting. So anyway, carry on.
Yeah. So all right, number 3 is recursion. Right? And for this, I want to point to the very first broken combo that we had in Star Wars Destiny, which some of the more competitive people in the Destiny content creator community actually named their podcast over, which is the Hyperloop, right? Yeah. So there was this the Hyperloop combo back before Hyperloop or Hyperspace Jump got errata to be removed from the game, was that you'd have the Falcon in play and the Hyperspace Jump in your discard pile, and you'd roll out. If you didn't like what you got, you'd claim the battlefield. You were on
Emperor's Throne Room.
Yep. And the thing was, you were able to get to Emperor's Throne Room because you would Hyperspace Jump and then switch to battlefield. So you were guaranteed to have what you wanted.
And Throne Room will let you turn a die to a special and resolve it.
So you're just like, oh, I rolled out. I don't like what I got. Jump.
Right.
Jump. Right. And, Lucas, he came out in the very early days, and Jeremy's committed to this as well. It's like they will not support infinite or even semi-infinite combos. So that got nerfed, which was fantastic.
Right. That was a good nerf.
My point is, so I talk about that as the primary example, but we keep running into this problem. And talked about it very recently with No Answer, which is the more recent one that just got nerfed now, right? No Answer in of itself isn't busted, but when you could pull No Answer and play it multiple times and mill for 7 in a turn is busted, right? And we're seeing this a lot in Destiny. It's like when we start having the ability to recur things get ugly, right? So that's what I think we need to be very careful with is how do we recur things? What cards?
When you speak your recursion as far as events from your discard pile.
Sabine was recursion.
That's true. So any card from a card that, because your 30 card deck, those are resources, right? Each one that goes to the discard is one less ability you have.
I'm not talking a card like pay 2, put 4 cards back in the bottom of your deck. Like that's fine.
That's
right.
Okay.
Now, if you have a 0 cost that lets you put 4 cards in the back of your deck, and then Lord Sand will let you keep cycling it, maybe that's a problem.
That sounds pretty fun.
That sounds broken, right?
Okay.
So, all right. So number 4 is busting the value curve. Now this one's pretty self-explanatory, but primarily what I'm talking about here is like, let's think Vader's Fist, right?
Sure.
Vader's Fist in of itself, if you look at that card, is fine from a value standpoint on the die. But somebody somewhere along the line was like, there's no way in hell people are getting a 5-cost upgrade on the table. So let's make, Planetary Bombardment, right? Mm-hmm. Like you look at these cards and you're like, why the heck are these cards so good? And I think it's because people are thinking, man, they can't get a 4 dropout. They can't get a 5 dropout.
It's coming round 3 before the game gets over, right? Like, it's a finish. It's like this big it's a finale card, right?
Right, and I'll grant you that, right? For those of you who are familiar with Magic the Gathering, basically once you get to like 6 mana in Magic the Gathering, like you're going to play the card that your opponent just reaches across the table and shakes on.
Right.
So like if that's what they're going for in this game, and like you say, if it's like, all right, hit 3rd round, 4th round, I've been taking a beating all game, but I tanked up and made my money, here's my win card, I'm okay with that because then you can try to blast them down. But when you can get this stuff out first turn now, stuff that breaks the value curve like Fist or Planetary Bombardment, maybe not, whatever.
Yeah, I don't see what I'm saying. Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Like, Fist is definitely a problem with the value curve.
Yeah, it breaks the value curve because,
that should be a 9 cost.
The problem is it like exponentially accelerates the value curve. Maybe that's more of it, right? It's like there is and should be a pretty defined value curve, and stuff that falls off that curve, especially on the inside. I'm doing it to the camera on the inside, right? But do it on the inside is just not good for the game, right? Yeah. I think most people. Maul Saber even, right? Like Maul Saber was above value curve,
right? Because you could,
unless you were playing like blue mono hero.
And I know we've talked about recursion of cards, but this is one where you're recurring a die, right? In essence, it was the same thing that happened to the LAT gunship. Like that came in and all of a sudden they figured out that you could recur.
Perfect example.
You could recur the die repeatably, and it was like, whoa, that's a problem, right? Like, and I guarantee you, these nerds, if there's a way to break it, they're gonna break it.
Yeah, and again, we have to be careful with how we define recursion, right? Recursion a lot of times again is thought of bringing stuff back from the drink, the graveyard, the discard pile, whatever you want to call it, right? But it just like in Mike's point, right? The recursion of consistently being able to do something over and over, or being able to get value out of something over and over, in that you don't have to put value into it. That's a problem, right? So, all right. And then recipe number 5, last one, is not looking ahead or backwards. And for that, both of us had Friends in High Places on our list, right? I think that's a perfect example, right? I think when Friends in High, when Friends in High Places came out, it was fine, right? And I think it was so fine that it was actually not good, and people just forgot about it. And they didn't look ahead and say, what will I do? What will happen in 4 sets when we continue? I mean, maybe at that point, they didn't even know if Destiny was going to go 4 sets. Fair enough, right?
True.
But like, we have to think about stuff like that in terms of what can this card become as my characters continue to power creep. And because that's really fundamentally what happened.
Yeah.
And in the reverse, we have to try and look backwards and be like, all right, I mean, and by we, like designers, like, can we please look backwards and not forget about like these crevice cards that we just threw in our binder and forgot about?
It's interesting we talk about power creep causing some of this problem looking ahead, right?
Well, I mean, Friends in High Places is definitively a power creep cause, right? As your dike size got bigger, it became easier to play.
When you think back at Awakenings, and you think about the number of characters in that set that had 3 value anything, right? Poe had a 3 gun, Vader had a 3 melee, Han had there was
Luke.
There were single sides, and they were on, like, it was hard. It was much harder to get.
And keep in mind, most of these guys only had 2 damage sides. Like, the ones with 3 damage sides were Django and Veers.
Right. And they were lower, right? And of course, it was bonkers.
A thing.
Right, yeah. So,
and Leia.
It's interesting that they talk. You're talking about how, like, we're not looking forward and back. I want to make sure that I don't want this to be like a pile on, like, Fantasy Flight for bad design. I think this recipe portion of our program, the first half of the cast was definitely accusatory. The second half, I think, where we're talking about a recipe, I think we should really make sure that we're learning.
That's where I was going with this.
Yeah.
I'm trying to brainstorm of, like, how can we not hit the pitfall?
In looking back, I think is super important. Like, let's look back at all the cards we've designed that are crap and broken, and then when we design a card, like, let's think forward, like, about, like, what is this going to limit us to in 3 sets when this is still
It's
around?
a trap being perfect, right? So It's a Trap, really, I mean, a lot of us speculate that the reason Red Hero just stunk forever was because nothing could be play tested with It's a Trap. Yeah. They fixed It's a Trap, but then they already had a year of pipeline.
Right. Of poopiness.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, anyway.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I just think we should. I hope if FFG is still paying attention to our podcast at this point, I hope that they do look forward and look back. And I know playtesting this game is really hard. Like, it's tough. You've got variable die. This isn't a game where everything is like, if I play this card, it does this every time. Boom. These are cards that you play, and you could roll it in and it does nothing. You could play it 4 times over 4 games, it does nothing. You never touch it again, and you just had bad luck, and you didn't get a good play test out of it.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, how often does that happen to a lot of us? We open a card out of the pack, and you're like,
trash.
And then later on, you read, like, a Hyperloops article, and they're like, and you're like, oh, yeah, I missed that.
Yeah, right, yeah.
My bad. So, anyway, I think that about wraps us up. But, no, I think this was a really good idea, Mike, so thanks for bringing it to the table, our history lesson in Destiny, looking back. But and it's not just looking back, it's also looking forward and what can change. So, what do you got going on this week?
So, I think we probably have the set's coming out pretty soon. So we're going to do back-to-back drafts. We're doing a Friday night release draft. We're doing Monday draft. We should be doing Saturday draft, but someone decided to go somewhere else.
Gongai's still doing the Saturday draft.
They are. Okay. Yeah. So this will be a weekend of drafting. I'm fairly certain.
I'm sorry that I went somewhere on a holiday weekend.
Yeah, you don't do that.
FFG screwed us twice. 2 years.
I love it, man.
July 3rd before.
I'm proud of them for, like, we want to release on a holiday weekend so bad, we're just going to remove our release date forever to Fridays. Like, how that's commitment to releasing games on the when everyone's out of town. Fantastic.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, we got that going on. Draft. Make sure to check your local websites for that. And
are we going to be streaming? Are we going to have live draft games? I know people just love the draft games. What are we going to do about that?
I mean, I won't be there, so.
Oh, that's true. Okay, so I'm hoping maybe we can talk about this off camera, but it'd be cool if when we got some of the new stuff, maybe we can have just some talk and play.
Oh, you and I?
Yeah, you and
yeah. Just go.
Maybe get some guests. Maybe Symbio wants to jump in and
blast through a bunch of decks.
Yeah, I think it'd be super fun.
Of course, we won't have the cards that we need.
Right, yeah, we're playing with very subpar decks, but.
Right. So, because I know. I mean, and the way most people do is, like, I buy an initial set of boxes and then plan to get packs at events over the course. So we generally buy low and just deal with what you got, throw a couple decks. But yeah, sure, sounds good.
Cool.
So, all right, we'll commit to that in advance. So let us know what you guys think about what we were talking about today. I'm sure there were some broken and or frustrating things that we missed. So
put them in the comments for sure. And maybe we can talk about them again, and we can do something.
Mike will jump all over that.
Yeah,
right?
I'll be like,
so
you're stupid.
viewer question.
Yeah, please.
What do you hate? Card related.
Yeah.
So do you have anything else, Mike?
Go Commando.
Go Commando.
That was a good episode.
That one was good. I liked that one.